Hey, can we confirm we're getting good voiceover commentary out on the live stream? Hey, can we confirm we're getting good voiceover commentary out on the live stream?
Alright, hey, what's up everybody? This is Agasicles Davis back with another live stream on Mixer. Coming at you from Gearworks.com, the E2KG Network channel on YouTube, and the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube. Sorry, just trying to get my coffee open here without spilling it all over myself. Let the coffee get a little too cold last night, despite being in a Yeti cup. So, unfortunately, this is at least the last of my gaming for the 3-day weekend for the morning. I'll be shifting over to the PC later tonight. Not sure what I'm going to be playing or when I'll be live streaming again, or where. But for now, we're doing Project Cars 2 on Mixer. I would like to check out the Fun Pack, but I am not going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and continue my career and see a lot more clearly this morning. Last night I had my contacts on and they were blurry after a full day. I didn't realize you could have multiple drivers. That's interesting too. So, okay, we got new email messages. And I'm probably about at the point where I'm going to need to start bumping up the difficulty.
This is your driver network profile. Here you can view your competitive racing license details, edit your online profile information, and view all your game stats, photos, and videos.
There's no way. It says after 33 races, but I've only spent 2 hours of my career. I think what that's doing is it's including all my restarts. So you gotta qualify again for race 2. So practice is off. I will do qualifying. Oh no! This is the next race. Okay. Yeah, because I've only done 2 races. I mean, I've only completed 2 races. I guess I've just restarted it a heck of a lot. Silverstone, one of my favorite tracks. So one of my things is I have spent. Let's see, when did Gran Turismo come out? It was really after Gran Turismo, because Gran Turismo, at least the first one, I don't remember it having a lot of kind of classic European circuit Formula 1 tracks. But since I got into racing sims, I don't know, in 1999, 2000, I have spent a lot of time racing these classic European tracks, and I was formerly a Formula 1 fan, so I always love it when I'm on these tracks. They are my absolute favorite. Although there are some American tracks that I like too. I like Road America and Road Atlanta. Hey Google, start a 1 hour timer.
Sure, 1 hour. Starting now.
So let's go ahead and start my qualifying run. And I wonder if I set this before. It's nice that all of the measurements are in English. Degrees Fahrenheit, miles per hour. I was certainly expecting to look up and see things in degrees Celsius and whatnot. Okay, so that gives you the view of the track. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm in. Now I don't recall if this is the car that whatever team I'm on gave me. Ooh. Or if come on, let's not start that already. Or if this is a car that I chose. Car feels not nearly as twitchy as it did last night. Of course, last night I spent some time driving in wet conditions, so it actually feels like a regular racing game. That could have also been my extreme level of exhaustion from last night. Do we have the same livery? Looks like we do. So while I'm doing my qualifying laps, let's go ahead and start running down. Didn't realize the brakes were going to entirely lock up like that. Or that they were going to... A lot of traffic here. So let's go ahead and go in cockpit. Because I qualified for pole position last night. Now, since I've been racing in a VR helmet, my ability to drive in cockpit has gotten a little better. But it is still probably not my best camera view for racing, for me personally. It's just always been the case. Ooh. Wasn't expecting to have to dive that far down the inside. And in fact, I may go ahead and drive from inside the cockpit here for a good chunk of this morning. Now, didn't I already... Thought you only had one teammate. Yeah, this turn tightens up. So I think I've got enough cognitive load. Like I said, go ahead and run down the hardware that's in play tonight. I have been playing the original Project Cars in VR on PC with the Windows Mixed Reality headset. So I have been getting a chunk of time in this franchise over the last month or so. And I apologize, there will be lots of sniffles this morning as I'm, as always, congested from allergies. Don't know for certain that my audio mix is going to be great. I made an adjustment without testing the results first, so... And unfortunately on Mixer, you can't scrub backwards in the video when you're watching a live stream. So this weekend has been really fun live streaming. Number one, I don't. What I'm not liking here is last night I was on fire on lap times and setting the best times in sectors and best lap times. For some reason, I'm not lighting the world on fire this morning. One of the things I have not liked about this game, and I don't know if it's an adjustment I can make, I may check it out after qualifying. I'm not getting all the data that I want on the HUD. Like, I'd like to see my lap times and split times and other things. I do like that the fuel gauge is digital. It just says right in plain. Just in a straight number without being an analog gauge exactly what your fuel level is. Okay, I guess that is my split time down there. It shows me that I'm 0.26 seconds off the mark, which isn't horrible if that's best lap. Then that means I may not be on pole, but I should be in a solid second, 0.887. Car feels so much more stable than it did last night. Last night it felt like this thing was all over the place. But like I said, some of those tracks were a lot tighter, less forgiving. Okay, there we go. New best lap. That's what I'm talking about. So it's been really great doing live streams on Mixer this weekend because I am testing a new piece of studio gear. The video capture today. There we go, new best one Central Time. And also not hearing as much commentary from the controller speaker this morning, seems like. Although I've got the game turned up pretty loud, so maybe it's going off and I just can't hear it. I guess you do see the lap times down there on the steering wheel computer. You, of course, can't see that if you're in the swing camera view, which is normally what I drive in. Tires are still in good shape. Man, I'm missing that best lap just by a little bit. Yeah, so I'm testing out a new video game capture card this weekend. Just had it delivered on Friday. I'm pretty happy with it. It is the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus. I've been testing it in with PC mode this weekend. I'm really looking forward to testing it in standalone mode. It is a dual mode capture card, so it can be used both in conjunction with a PC or standalone. I really like, I've got a few different cards. Some of them are can only be used with a PC. Some of them are standalone. They're about half and half. And I do like the standalone cards. I guess if I had to have only one kind, now, of course, I have a lot of these because one of my sticks on the website and on my YouTube channel is I review these cards. Probably more so than a content creator, I am mostly a studio technical guy and a hardware reviewer, so most of my effort is into putting together different studio kits and testing out the hardware, and my videos are more so a demonstration of the tech than my effort than my efforts to be entertaining. Whoa! So at least I'm getting through this without, like, the multiple restarts that I had to do last night as I crashed out and screwed up. No, I may just be throwing down better sector times because the car's getting lighter as I proceed around the track as I burn fuel. And scuffing up the tires, getting them warmed up. But yeah, so, so probably if I had to just select one video game capture card to use for studio cuts, it probably would be one that could function as standalone. The Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus would definitely be in the running because I love the fact that it can be used for both modes. I would hate to be stuck with a card that could only do one. I mean, I take that back. Maybe if I had to, I'd probably use one that I use with a PC. You can put a lot more production effects with those. The standalone boxes, you tend to not be able to live stream. Some of them can, but I've also seen where even a standalone box, so like my AverMedia Game Capture HD2, which is a standalone box with a network cable. I can't remember if that one can live stream or not. But I've definitely tried some that I've tried to live stream directly from them and have not been able to get it to work. Off my best lap. Now, of course, my problem now is I don't know whose best lap time that is. If it's mine or someone else's. Now, last night I stayed out on the track for the entire time, which is really unnecessary. And I normally never do. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn enough laps to get down to 40 liters of fuel. I feel like the tires are starting to lose a little bit of their grip. So the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2, as I've been talking about the last few live streams, is an update to a previous model that AverMedia had on the market, the old Live Gamer Portable 2. It was the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus. And the big update to this one is that it does 4K pass-through. So I am playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro this morning. I bought it last fall, so I waited about a year after the PlayStation 4 Pro came out, and got the Destiny 2 Special Edition last year. Really going to be an exciting race, because the tracks that I ran last night, there was very little room to make passes. This guy's blocking me off on a qualifying run. Alright, so I think I'm gonna go up here. Did I miss the pit entrance already? I did, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go around one more lap and try and catch the pit entrance. So yeah, so they had, AverMedia had the Live Gamer Portable 2 already on the market. That's a car that's really designed for you to use in conjunction with like a gaming laptop, so that you can record on the go. Like I said, that's why it has that standalone capability. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. But it's very small and compact. It's about the size of kind of a thin, like, battery pack. If any of you guys out there or girls have one of those portable, 10,000 milliamp hour or greater. Oh, okay, well. Now, where's the pit entrance on here? Is it right here? It is. Well, I don't feel the need to finish that lap up and record the time. Okay, so I am on pole. Yeesh, by 17 seconds. So this is the race. Okay, still Pretty cool this morning. 53 degrees. I think this is 9 minutes. I haven't quite understood. Is this? So I think this circuit, this championship, is by time. So it's over. Okay, so they got me on the all-weather tires. 45 liters of fuel. I really don't need 45 liters, and I'm wondering. It's not like I really need the car to be lighter on that.
A nice clean getaway and hold that ball.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and spend this race driving in cockpit. Increase the difficulty a little bit for me. Although I think what I really need to do is go in and bump up the AI's level. Should have probably gotten a hit of coffee in between the sessions there. So I guess with this race format, the one thing is I gotta hold it together for a full 9 minutes without crashing out. Ooh. Like I said, that might be a bit of a challenge as I was headed for the, So you're gonna do that to me, huh? So the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus came out, I believe, the tail end of last year. The most recent firmware update was in December. And it's the only firmware update that's been issued for it, I believe. So the device retails for just south of $200 now on Amazon. When it came out, I think it was closer to $250, maybe $300. And like I said, the best thing about it is it's the first device that I've gotten a hold of that allows me to play in 4K. Now, it still only captures at 1080p, but before then, there was nothing that would pass through 4K, so, and, you know, all of my gaming PCs, and now both of my consoles, all of my consoles other than the Nintendo Switch, are all 4K. So every time I went to game capture or live stream, I had to dump the video back down to 1080p. In a lot of cases, the devices, like the consoles, will auto-switch it back down when they detect that they're going to a non-4K capable source. But it was a little disappointing when things like, you know, when I picked up Far Cry, and the first weekend that I had it, I was game capturing and live streaming every session. And then, you know, so I spent the whole first weekend not seeing what the game really looked like in 4K. So something like Project Cars 2, which is a great looking 4K game, is something that I appreciate, at least when I use this card, you know, being able to see in all its graphical glory. Now, the one thing I did not realize, and that is disappointing, we're getting some rain, is that, now the question is this rain going to be, well, yeah, well, I expect to be off my best lap time if it's starting to get some weather. Now this is one thing I don't like. I feel like this game, now this is, I'm playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro, there shouldn't be any game for the console that, where you see any kind of stutter or anything, but I feel like in rain conditions I've seen just a tad of hitching. Yeah, I can hear the tire slipping in the wet here. So I can't remember if I mentioned it. I was talking about one problem or one limitation with the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus is that it doesn't pass through HDR. And of course, as a lot of people will argue, you saw it just there, a little bit of hitching in the turn. And some people will argue HDR is what really makes these next generation TV displays of value. Now, when playing on a PC, 4K still makes a big difference, I think, even without HDR. Oh, okay. So apparently we're getting more rain. I'll make my heart rate go up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to make an effort to bump up the AI. Now, I've really only played this game for just over 2 hours, so I am still in my, mode of having placed everything on easy until I figure things out. So I think I've definitely hit my learning curve and can go ahead and start bumping up the challenge. So that's the other thing I don't like is, in a race format like this that is based on time. Am I lapping these guys? Okay, that's the first time that's happened. Need to be showing a little more caution going into these corners. I guess this will be one way to make a challenge for myself, is trying to get to this back end of the pack. Now, if they were following actual official... Now, I know they want to fight each other because they're fighting for position, but they should all be letting me through if the AI is coded to conform to actual race etiquette. If there's any corner on Silverstone that gives me a problem, it's that one. It just tightens up. It's really steep as you go into it. Got a very wide, easy, open entrance, but if you come in there high speed, you will definitely be in the gravel hard. So yeah, so again, the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus, I really like is the 4K pass-through. In addition to that, it's just really, AverMedia's done a really good job of like stacking every thing that streaming hardware vendors should have learned by now, as far as putting convenience at the content creator's fingertips. On the left-hand side, it's got two 3.5mm stereo jack inputs, and one of those is to be a pass-through for a controller. So, of course, one thing that has been an issue to surmount in this current console generation is that the Xbox One has the capability of passing audio both through the controller and to your TV screen concurrently, which makes game capturing and streaming easier, because most of the time when you're streaming using hardware, it is all these streaming capture devices are oriented around picking up the audio over HDMI. And so if your device doesn't pass audio over HDMI, that's a problem. There are ways to work around that. Now, the PlayStation 4 cannot pass audio both over HDMI and the controller. So if you send it to the controller, you're not going to pick it up in your game capture. Now, what I normally do to get around that is I take my headphone input, as I'm doing today, out of the back of my television set. So when I was on my Vizio 32-inch 1080p TV sets, one of which I still have and use with the Nintendo Switch and my PlayStation 3, that had left and right RCA channel jacks on the back. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, it's getting slippery enough that the car's traction control system is can't entirely compensate for the puddles on the track. Definitely going to start taking it slower here, which is fine because we're down to the last minute. So I would come out of the back of those TV sets with a splitter cable. I would pull in the left and right channel RCA over a male connector, and then come out with a female connector, and then I would plug my 3.5mm jack for my headphones into that. With this new Samsung 4K TV, its issue is that it only has optical out of the back of the TV set, which is kind of weird to me, but I have speakers that take an optical input that I use with it. So to get it into headphones, what I do is I have a media converter box that takes an optical in and then sends it out to either left and right RCA channel connections, or it also has a 3.5mm headphone jack in the front. So so it is powered, so I have to put it into a power strip. Okay. So my problem here is like every device in here has Skype configured to it, so whoever's calling me is apparently some of them go on forever before they kick to my voicemail. That looks like it's a wrong number. Okay, so in the championship, I'm well ahead of Sonny Curtis. Now my team. Okay. But on the front panel of the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus, you can run male-to-male 3.5mm connector cable from your controller over to the breakout box, and then you can plug into the other 3.5mm jack with your set of headphones or your headset, so it can capture your party chat as well as your own voiceover commentary. Okay. I don't know what that U1500 is. I don't know if that's the type of car that I'm driving, I guess. So let's... I don't know what those numbers indicate. I guess those are the dates of those championships. Ah, Donington. Another one of my favorite checks. Okay, and I guess once I complete this, I can go to the UK2 championship. Okay, here, I guess. So you can see I have... Go ahead and bump up the skill level. See how that does me. So another convenience that's on the front panel of the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus is that for the audio controls, you can simply be listening to it, but you can also put it into a monitor mode. And in monitor mode, you can actually hear the difference between the audio mix balance between your between your voiceover commentary and the in-game audio. Now, as I've mentioned earlier this week, I have not been certain that I really trust myself to be able to hear that in my set of headphones, so I still prefer checking the audio mix actually in OBS or via the Mixer live stream. I'm not checking it this morning, so it may be off because I did bump up the in-game audio yesterday after I listened to my live streams from last night and felt like the in-game audio was a little quieter than I'd want. The problem is with a racing game, how the audio scales is often different than how it might scale in a third-person action game or a first-person shooter. Whoa! Okay, hot day. 97 degrees out on the track, 74 degrees ambient. Not a lot of wind. So is this qualifying? Should be qualifying, right? Because I have practice turned off. So I am not going to stay in the cockpit this time. Oh, I didn't realize it had a full cockpit like that. Okay, so until I get my feet underneath me with the increased AI challenge, I'm just going to go ahead and drive in what is my normal view. I've always preferred this view because I feel like this is what allows me to see all the gorgeous visuals in a racing game. Racing games have historically been some of the best looking games in my opinion from generation to generation. It seems like the guys doing racing games and flight sims are the ones that seem to figure out how to take the most advantage of the hardware and DirectX updates and things like that. Of course, what I'm missing here is the HDR, which would really make this game pop, I think. And then the final control feature that the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus has is a 3-mode switch on the front panel. Alright guys, I'm on my run for time now. So you can use it as I'm using it now, which is with PC mode. Although the weird thing to me in the in-PC mode is when I start a live stream or a recording in OBS, the indicator light on the Portable 2 Plus does not change. Now I have one of my other capture cards is an AverMedia Live Gamer Extreme GC550. And the lights do change on that, even when I'm recording in OBS, so it's a little weird. So I don't know if those lights only activate when you're using it in standalone mode. The integration might just be weird between OBS and this thing. It actually comes up as 2 different devices that you can select in OBS. There's a Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus Stream Engine that you can select, and there's the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus itself. I think the Stream Engine is a back-end API through RE Central. And I had it configured for that yesterday. And then when I couldn't hear audio, I switched it to the Stream Engine. I don't think that was really necessary. I think why I wasn't hearing audio was another problem. But at any rate, that's how it's configured now. So it's a little unintuitive. I definitely rely on the GC550. I definitely rely on those indicator lights to feel confident that the stream is still going. Now, streaming service reliability has radically increased since 2015, which is when I started doing game captures and live streaming, and back there it was jank. And I mean, everybody was bad. Mixer, Twitch, YouTube. There were problems with all of them. I found Twitch to be particularly unsavory, and that's how, I guess, part of my stick also became streaming to all the different services so I could compare them. At one point I left Twitch entirely and did all my live streaming on YouTube. Now what I do is I kind of evenly spread my live streams across Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube, which is why sometimes you don't see me on Mixer for a while. Also, sometimes that's because I do a lot of local game capture without worrying about the streaming. There were definitely more bandwidth limitations in the earlier years. That has improved. The ability to stream at high bit rates has improved. With my setup now, I finally feel comfortable and confident streaming at 60 frames per second, so I've kind of reached the nadir of live streaming. There pretty much isn't more I can do to kind of push it from a technology perspective. But yeah, so that mode switch on the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus, you can set it to work with PC. You can set it to record in standalone mode. Now, my other AverMedia standalone capture device is the AverMedia Game Capture HD2, which I really love. It records to a 9.5mm or 7.5mm height laptop hard drive, which it keeps in a little storage compartment in its underbelly with a SATA. Oh, yeah, that's a bad spot on the track. It's that twisting right-hand turn as you come to the top of the hill. It's also interesting to me that you don't have a track map in one of the corners. Although I can get them wanting to take that away in the HUD, because of course in an actual race car you don't have that. So last night with the tracks I was on, they were so tight that I was having to drive in my two-pedal mode, which is normally how I drive when I'm racing with a set of wheel and pedals. I drive with both feet. This is not how I drive my passenger car on my commute during the workday. I just drive with my right foot, but in racing games, and some real-world race car drivers do this. I think Schumacher used to drive dual pedal, so... But it allows you to actually impart a little twist on the car when you both brake and accelerate at the same time. And I tend to like that finesse of control that you have in corners on a tight track. On these British tracks, I haven't felt the need to do that this morning, particularly on dry conditions. I think every race that I was in last night was in the wet. So you can also set the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus in standalone mode and record to a micro SD card. Like I was saying, the Game Capture HD2 records to a laptop hard drive, which is fine, but then to get that video off the hard drive onto a PC, I have to physically remove the hard drive. So I usually will do my series of game captures on that, 3 to 5 at a time, and then when I shut down and disconnect, then I flip it over and grab the hard drive out of there. Now, the thing I have not been able to get to work on the HD Capture 2, the reason I checked the hard drive is telling it to upload directly from the device over a network cable has not worked. Again, I haven't used that device a lot, so I had a problem with it last year where I got the power supply mixed up with my Roku power supply. And it did not want to work. It was probably being undervoltaged. So fortunately I didn't do any permanent damage to it, and I was actually going to give it away to take it into Best Buy for recycling. Once I realized the power supply error, because I thought it was broken, once I realized the power supply error I made, I kind of put it back in the test pile, because I was like, well, I'm going to have to set aside some time to check this out and verify that that is the problem, and it took me a while to get around to doing that. But I did do that a couple of weeks ago, and it checks out fine, works great, as it always has. Oh. This ain't Forza. You're not getting extra XP for knocking down those little signs. So yeah, so the difference in those two devices is one records to a spinning hard drive. I could put an SSD under there and in the Game Capture HD2, and I thought about doing that for a while. That was one of the items on my upgrade path. But I haven't had any problems with the drive keeping up with writes, so if that drive ever goes bad while I still use that device, I will probably swap it out for an SSD. And actually, I have a 120 gigabyte SSD because in the Uber PC that the capture card is connected to right now, I originally had a 120 gig Kingston SSD in there, which I knew was going to be too small. Whenever I install Windows 10, regardless of where I install applications, I can never keep the thing below. It always gets to like 100, 101. Gigs of the operating system install once all the apps are loaded up. You know, and of course I put all the games on like a different drive and all that kind of stuff. It was a 120 gig drive, which is never enough. So I wound up doing an upgrade a lot sooner than I had planned after building it, and went to a 500 gig SSD. So I have a 120 gig SSD sitting around that I could use in the AverMedia Game Capture HD2, but like I said, I just haven't felt the need to do it, and I feel better about having the 1 terabyte drive in there, although it's not like I ever store videos on there long enough for it to get anywhere near that capacity. I generally, when I pull the videos off, I generally clear the directory out periodically. But anyway, this one records to a micro SD card, so that's a little nicer. But regardless of what media format it records to, I should also say, the other standalone capture card I have is the AGP Tech VG0020. It records out to a USB source, which the Game Capture HD2 can also. It has a USB port up front. The VG0020 can only record to a USB source. It can record to a... I think it could record to a powered USB hard drive. I'm not positive about that. It can record to like a portable hard drive over USB or a thumb drive. And what I've done is I've taken like an 8 gig USB hard drive and formatted it for FAT32, which is the file format that the VG0020 uses. The Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus uses FAT32 or exFAT. Now, what I'm a little worried about in that case is I think those file formats give you a max file size of 2 gigabytes, which, depending on what content you're recording, can sometimes be as little as like 17 minutes of recording time, so I'm a little worried about that. Now, it's only been recently that 128 gigabyte micro SD cards have become inexpensive, really. I think mine was like $25 or something. So that old 2 gigabyte limit wasn't a problem, but I was kind of like, well, the Game Capture HD2, which was out years ago, uses an NTFS drive. If I do suffer under that limit, that is going to be a problem. So this first weekend I've been recording in with PC mode, so I have not had a chance to test under the standalone mode. The third position for that mode switch is it allows you to put the device in storage mode, so you can access the micro SD card directly from a PC, which is pretty neat, so you don't have to pull the card out and put it in a card reader or anything like that. Okay, so I'm definitely on poll. Nice. Hey Google, how much time is left on the timer?
T-minus 12 minutes and 19 seconds.
Wow. Gotten a lot more done a lot more quickly than I anticipated. Not really exactly sure how long I'm going to get to play this morning. I really wanted to get in like 2 hours of live streaming, but I got started late. I had to do a driver update for my GeForce GTX 1070 card that I have inside the streaming PC. Just because I do use the GPU for the encoding in live streams. So I wanted to make sure if there were any improvements in that performance that I got a hold of those. Alright. I think I'm going to try and drive in the full cockpit view here. Now, if this were center line, I don't actually think I really like that. So it looks like I'm going to be driving. Now, this race was, what, 12 minutes? So this is actually going to take up the bulk of my remaining live stream time. I guess I should have checked on the health of my stream just to make sure I'm still recording and... But even though I'm in the chat-only mode in Mixer, in the Mixer app on my phone, so I'm hoping that if my live stream had dropped that I would see an indicator on that, even though I'm not actually watching the video stream on it. So on the card you can also flip it into storage mode. Now, what I noticed when I flipped it into storage mode is the ready to record, ready to stream indicator light status was still being indicated, so I don't know if in storage mode you could still record or live stream. That would be pretty cool. And so it would be on you if you mistakenly monkeyed with the game capture file while you were in storage mode. But still pretty neat because you can put it in storage mode and drag files onto there or take them off without disconnecting the whole PC, disconnecting the game capture device or yanking the micro SD card. Okay, so it's looking like I'm still going to need to bump up the difficulty level a little bit, and that's fine. Again, I am not a masochist gamer who gets off on how difficult games are. I'm way too old or played games far too long for that. This is definitely for enjoyment. At my age, I don't necessarily like the racing games that have my heart rate going through the roof. Although a little bit of white knuckle racing is fine now and then. I definitely want to tweak to get to that. Or just below that, I should say. So the rest of the gear in use today, since I've talked so much about the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus, the webcam that I'm using is the Logitech C920. That's almost came into that turn too hot. And for voiceover commentary, I'm using another piece of AverMedia gear, the AverMedia Aegis GM310. This is one of my favorite mics in my kit, and I have probably about 10 to 12 mics that I use. Or that I've gotten a hold of through testing and hardware reviews. The GM310, if you work in enterprise and are used to like doing teleconferences over this device called a Polycon, or having these kind of flat microphone bucks out on the conference room tables for conference calls, that's kind of what the GM310 is. Ooh. That shouldn't have been quite like that. But it's really like a flat teleconference hockey puck. There's software that AverMedia includes that allows you to tune the noise canceling on the GM310. So it doesn't pick up a ton of ambient noise. Although it still does in comparison to other open-air mics. One of the things I really like is it has just a mute button directly on the microphone, which I say that, and people who haven't tested a lot of microphones would think that's not a big deal, but probably half of my mics don't have an ability to mute the microphone. Particularly ones that use go in over a straight 3.5mm jack stereo plug connector. The USB mics, like my Samsung mics and my Blue Yeti mic, do have that ability. Not even all my headsets have the ability to have a mute key inline. But yeah, but the GM310 works really well, I think. It probably has some of the better audio quality across my microphones. And to pull in the in-game audio, so when you use an open-air mic for game captures or live streams, what you have to do is you have to, to game effectively, I have to be able to hear the audio, the in-game audio, and to record, you've got to get that audio out of the open air, so you really can't or shouldn't use speakers or your TV speakers or my Edifier bookshelf speakers. You should get that audio into a pair of headphones so that you don't have a dual in-game audio bleed over into the mic. Right, meaning where you're already capturing the in-game audio. Sorry, I meant to say in-game video. In-game audio, you're already capturing the in-game audio track into your live stream or your game capture, so you don't want to hear it twice because you're playing the audio out over your speakers. So as I mentioned, I'm coming out of the back of my Samsung 4K TV over its optical output, sending that into a media converter box that changes it, converts it from optical to a 3.5mm stereo jack output. And plugged into that this morning, I'm using my Razer Kraken Pro V2s. Now, one thing I find interesting if you're going to source some of this gear is a lot of the gear associated with live streaming and game captures, it seems like people don't like in general, so the review scores are always down in like the 3.5 to 3.8 range, so I have to calibrate what I normally look for my purchasing decisions to compensate for gamer angst. If it were up to the Amazon reviews, nobody would ever buy anything except the Elgato capture cards, and Elgato capture cards are nice, but they don't produce a lot, and they don't have a lot of variety in terms of choice and capability, so... Now, for game capture cards, I tend to not use the proprietary software that comes with them. I will say Elgato's HD capture software is the only thing that I've really liked other than OBS. And I hated on OBS for a very long time. It's only just now that OBS has really gotten to a point where I was A, willing to use it, and B, now I use it all the time. And same thing with a lot of capture cards didn't necessarily support OBS before, so that's gotten better. The only problem with HD Capture, I think it might be called HD Capture Pro, the only problem with it, the thing that I didn't like, is it encodes to a proprietary format, which is not MPEG-4. And so after a game capture, you, at least when I was using it, you had to transcode it, which the app itself does, but it's just more time. So you would get your game capture done, and then you'd have to transcode it into MPEG-4, which was just, like I said, extra time. So when I used to use an Elgato, and I had an Elgato... Oh! I had an Elgato HD60, not the HD60S, when I down-selected and tried to get rid of some of my gear to start to minimalize some of the leftover gear that I had in the studio from all the testing and hardware reviews. I got rid of the Elgato HD60. That was because I had the 60 and not the S. And so the one I had was the USB 2.0 card, not the 3.0 card, whereas some of the other devices like the Razer Ripsaw and the AverMedia Live Gamer Extreme GC550 were both USB 3.0 cards, as is the Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus. And since then, rather than get the HD60S, which plenty of people have, and there's been plenty of reviews about those. I've been focusing on really reviewing AverMedia and Razer gear, and actually have come to really like the studio equipment from those two companies. Should be wrapping up pretty soon here, so I might have time for one more live stream this morning. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to continue with Project Cars. My problem with racing games is I tend to get into them and, spend hours and hours and hours in them. Hey, Google. How much time is left on the timer?
You've got 43 seconds remaining.
Whew. That's definitely going to be a wrap for this this session, anyway. And then I am going to go ahead and cut off this live stream, because I tend to try and not live stream for more than an hour at a time, just for the convenience of viewers. I think the feedback I've gotten is that the preferred format for people who have watched my live streams or game captures is about the 30 to 45 minute mark. That allows them, for some of the people who watch over their lunchtime, to watch a complete video and then bounce. Hey Google, stop the timer. There was a big update to Project Cars last night too. It may have been out for a while, and I just may not have pulled it down because I hadn't been playing it, but so I think I'm up to version 5.02. Trophy earned. Invite only. Complete 50 laps in career to unlock this invitational event. Now, part of the reason I had problems last night, in addition to just being exhausted, was one of the events I was in was an invitational event, which had a significantly more powerful car, and I just hadn't put in enough track time on this game. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break and reset. So my name shows up in the news ticker. Let's go ahead and check my email and clear that. Oh. Race seat available in UK Lightweight Track Challenge. Alright, well, like I said, that's going to do it for me. My name has been Agapsically Stamus from the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, the E2KG Network podcast channel on YouTube, and Gearworks.com, my tech blog. So thanks so much for joining in. For anybody who happens to swing by and check out the live stream, or anybody who happens to swing by and is watching this archive video on YouTube. So once again, this has been the Replication Anecdotes, episode number 316, featuring Project Cars 2 on the PlayStation 4. Utilizing the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus for game capture, the Logitech C920 webcam, the AverMedia Aegis GM310 gaming microphone for voiceover commentary, and the Razer Kraken Pro V2s for my listening pleasure of the in-game audio. So thanks so much for joining in. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here.